Segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. Mitchell from Fisk University, and of course the topic is the African American in the American military. And Dr. Mitchell, over the last 6 minutes that we have here, let's give you an opportunity to sort of reflect on the participation of African Americans between the American Revolutionary War and the present, and to sort of point out some of those events that you consider to be very, very significant in terms of the impact that they had upon not only African Americans, but upon the American, well, you know what we're trying to,
spectrum, yes.
I think, yeah.
Yes, well, certainly with the advent of the Tuskegee Airmen, again, there's a proud tradition of being an airman, a fighter pilot. These African American men, they stood up to the test. They never lost a supply that they were conveying. They earned the right, even in a separate and segregated world. B.O. Davis Jr., B.O. Davis Sr., and B.O. Davis Jr. being elevated to the rank of general in the American military. Chappie James being a decorated flyer with the Tuskegee Airmen. These all moved the event further. With the advent of Vietnam, and so many African American servicemen, so many African Americans directly out of college. In the Vietnam War and late World War II in Korea, you have the advent of programs at black colleges, the ROTC programs, the training programs. Young African American males flock to these programs. You know, I say with great pride that in Vietnam and other wars, you've never seen African Americans flocking to leave the country to avoid military service. On black college campuses, you didn't have the burning of draft cards. We may have disagreed with some of the military aims, but we were always, political aims, but we always supported the country militarily. And then the high point, Desert Storm. As terrible as it was to be thrust into war again, to realize that an African American, Colin Powell, today's Secretary of State, had come a long way from Crispus Attucks, one who died in a street brawl. Now he led military forces. We won. But again, it's a proud picture of the African American as a fighter and a soldier. And I think today no one questions the abilities of the African American, male and female, as contributors to the American military. I tell my students quite proudly that we have become the backbone of the new professional military. Many African Americans seek out military careers as a choice for life and generally service for life. You
know, Dr. Mitchell, over the last few minutes that we have here, let's have you to sort of reflect on this as an issue here, to look at the African American in the military, but also the opportunities that the military has provided for African Americans. Because I think that in a period where there are limited opportunities and et cetera, the military still serves as very, very important. Well, go on.
Well, I think you're exactly right. Post-World War II, with the service programs and the veterans loans, GI Bill, the GI Bill according housing. So African Americans have used the military experience to pull themselves up, and we've always understood that. Today, with college programs, again, it pulls up. The African American who could enter the military initially may not have been a college graduate. Today, he is a college graduate. So again, the military's worked hand in hand. I think with the military and the African American experience, it really shows the great promise of America. That if you can acclimate yourself to the American scheme and pattern, if you are loyal and dedicated, you will be rewarded. I think as we move into this century, we will see greater participation of African Americans in the military. And I think that sends an interesting signal to the new Americans, to the immigrants, to those who've come in, that service in America, service in our military in defense of this country will elevate status rapidly. The military, I think, today is tailoring itself to the needs of new citizens. But it's still something, a great deal of pride about donning the uniform, seeing a young man or woman in a military uniform in America.
And so African Americans have proudly upheld that tradition.
Yes.
Even in times when it appears that if nobody wanted them to participate. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that sort of jumps out at you during that First World War, how Du Bois and others that you know so well spoke in the interest of African Americans being able to participate in this war, and that we're not going to allow you to have a war without inviting us to their
And as far back as the Civil War, it was Frederick Douglass who advocated military service for African Americans. He lamented they couldn't be leaders, but he told them, manhood rights you serve. You know, every American leader has advocated service to the military. Those who we wouldn't time think of, Malcolm X never disdained military service. Muhammad Ali argued the right of exemption for religious purposes. But again, that's a part of the military question. He exercised it not as an African American, not as a Muslim, but as an American.
And of course, Dr. Mitchell, let me over the last minute thank you for allowing you a final comment to thank you for coming by and giving us that excellent information about African Americans in the military and some of the additional information that you've thrown in.
Dr. Haney, it's always a pleasure to come, to have the opportunity. You know, the world of learning that isn't just in a college classroom. I think as historians, we have to constantly share the story. And it's a wonderful story. The African American contribution is a wonderful story to the greater story, which is the American story. So it's always a pleasure to join you and be a part of these timely conversations on important issues.
And certainly, Dr. Mitchell, we thank you for coming by and again giving us an excellent overview of the African American in the American military. And as we said before, we think that we can rank this with some of the earlier discussions that we've had, and specifically, and the one that we're so very, very proud of is the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation. We get so many compliments in reference to that show. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition. Thank you and good morning.